Ladies in red. Ladies in red. Ladies in red. Discuss the latest news, just fans giving their views. This channel is red. They see the bar and raise it, plus they rep for the ladies. Trust it's red. Female voices in football. Red. If you want to talk up, it's a red channel for me and you. Subscribe and tune into the Ladies in Red.
Hi guys, welcome back to Ladies in Red. We're back again with another one, a cool down show recapping what we've just witnessed between Aston Villa and Manchester United. Firstly, mates, thanks for joining me and I hope you are doing well. How are you doing? Game aside, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Frustrated. I feel a bit deflated after that. Definitely, obviously, 2 points dropped. I mean, 2-0 lead to drop that. Bottlejobs FC, I've called this because we keep saying the mentality and whatnot. And you just felt as soon as Coutinho came on, as soon as they got back into it with a goal, I just didn't expect anything other than Villa going on to draw, maybe even win that game. Like I didn't feel like we were never really fully in control, especially in that second half. Villa came at the blocks, fair play to them. Obviously, Bruno got that goal from their mistake. But yeah, just really, I feel deflated, mate, after that. I don't know about you, but I just feel really down after that.
You know what? This game, it was a must-win game today because knowing that we've dropped these points so far this season, we've already lost at Villa at home, we've drew against Newcastle, we lost against Wolves, and that's without drawing against Everton earlier on in the season. And you do look at games like this and you think, this is a game what we really need to win to actually try and get into top four. But the first half, I literally couldn't fault it. I was thinking, right, this first half is brilliant. We've got a goal, despite being an own goal, we still got this goal, we still got this advantage. Get the second goal here, and honestly, I think we'd be absolutely fine. Got that second goal, brilliant. But then it just felt like we just lost the momentum. It's such a shame, but we lost. It just felt like we was giving the ball away so sloppy. Looking back at it, Aston Villa deserved the point.
I think first off, we played really well. First half, I'm a bit gutted that we didn't go and get that second goal in the first half, to be honest with you. Second half, look, they were always going to come back stronger. Their first half obviously wasn't the best. They were making a lot of errors. We were pressing well. But yeah, just I can't remember the last time we could say happily we've seen a decent 90 minutes from us. So overall, first half or the second half, we never have a full 90 minutes. It's frustrating. A lot of people questioning Ralph's management as well. Obviously, the subs, mate, I don't know about you, but our midfield, we know it's a big worry, and it has been for so long now. I mean, Ramsey bypassing Matic, bypassing Fred, especially in that second half, the amount of gaps that were coming in that middle as well. Something's got to happen with that, and whether we sign someone in January, obviously we'll wait and see. But the midfield for me, mate, just simply is not good enough.
I agree. And even if you're not a football fan and you watch a game like this, you can clearly see we're getting exposed in our midfield. And this is where we need to invest in this midfield. And it's not as... You hear things like, oh, we're linked to this person, we're linked to this person, we're linked to this person. It's not about being linked to the person. We just need to go out and get him. You see, Kesse, even say a pre-contract with him. You're seeing one of the players who's only worth 6 million on the transfer market. But snatch him up. Because right now, this midfield is below par. And how can we compete for top four with a midfield like this?
Yeah, exactly. And also, first off, for me, we were brilliant and played really well. The way I see it is I saw 2 points dropped. He left it too late to change. Wyburn got, maybe it felt that 2-0 up. It felt like we were going to go on and we were going to see it through. But like I say, it never for me felt like we were in total control. Frustrating, you're spot on there. 2 points dropped. I mean, Manchester United for one, but 2-0 lead. We should not, no club really should be dropping a 2-0 lead, but not us in the manner that we dominated, especially in that first half as well. It's just so frustrating. Like we should have been leaving with 3 points. We're not. And for me, yes, Ralph takes some blame for the subs and whatnot. But for me, just I don't even know anymore. I felt like it changed as soon as they made their subs. As soon as they got back into it, that one goal, I just felt like that was it. We were going to concede again. Is that a mentality thing, mate, or do you think it does come down to the personnel now?
To be honest, you look at it and you think we've been conceding a lot of goals under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We conceded goals under Jose Mourinho, under Louis van Gaal. I really do feel like it is the mentality. It just feels like no matter what manager we get, we're not at that point where we can compete. We're losing these silly points no matter what kind of manager we get. And I am questioning the players' mentality, but I also look a bit higher up, you look at the board, you look at the owners, and you think, if these don't have the mentality to win titles, like the Man City's owners, like Chelsea's owners, what would make the players think, okay, let's have this mentality to win the league? Why should we have this mentality to win the FA Cup? Why should we win the Champions League if the board isn't bothered as long as I get into top 4?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just I can see you're feeling like I am today, just scratching my head, frustrated, 2-0 up, cruising, thinking, you know what, this is going to be a great win. We're going to see this through, to then drawing 2-2 at the end and holding on a little bit at the end as well. It's frustrating, and of course, Coutinho, he had to be the one to score. You just knew he was going to be him. You just knew it was Coutinho was bound to score against us. I thought as soon as he come on, I was just hoping he was going to score, but it don't matter. We'll still see it through. Unfortunately, he's come on and got the equaliser. Ramsey played a big part in both goals as well, and credit to him. But I do feel like he just kind of bypassed our midfield, especially matches towards the end. I feel like we should have made a change sooner. We want control. We want to try and dictate the play, and I felt Donny coming on would have given us that control in the midfield. And again, we're just not seeing that change happen for whatever reason. Donny he isn't getting a look in. I want to big up to I Love the Villa as well, always tunes in, and I'm sure you've got a smile on your face after that one. Martinez, I'm very surprised. I know all keepers make mistakes, but that was absolutely awful. But I can't complain, he's still an absolutely brilliant goalkeeper. I was laughing, obviously, after him dancing after us in the past. For me, he got what he deserved. But no, he's a good goalkeeper, of course. I'm not going to dispute that. It wasn't out of character mistake from him. You saw him celebrating with the fans at the end. He was obviously over the moon. And that hasn't been too costly for you guys. But like May said, especially in that second half, Villa came out fighting, they came out strong, and quite simply, we bottled it. We absolutely bottled it. Like Doug said, please smash the likes up as well. I'd appreciate that. And of course, as kind of follow the women's side, it's a lot less stressful. Women, obviously, today putting 5 past. That's what you want to see. You want to see entertaining football. 5 goals, why not? Go and watch the women's team. I fully agree with you there, Connor. I mean, being a United fan at the minute, women aside, obviously, but supporting Manchester United men's team at the minute, it's just not good for your health, mate, is it? It's not good for your health at all.
It isn't at all. I was actually at the women's game today as well, and I actually was on the same side where all 4 of the goals were scored for Manchester United in the first half, and it was absolutely amazing to see it. And when you do look at it, you do think, why is it so different at the moment compared to the men's and the women's side? Because you think if one is performing that well, you'd think the mentality would also go over to the other team and the youth team. So the mentality just feels like it's flowing all around, but it's not. It's really not.
Yeah. Like I said, so I wanted to say a special shout out to Maisie.
Thank you.
And that was an amazing vlog she did earlier on the United women's game, which was 5-0. Watched it. Well done to Maisie. So, yeah, well done to you, Maisie. I'll definitely be checking out that vlog as well because I couldn't get to the game. George there says absolute trash game management again, directed at Ralph and, of course, to the mentality of our players as well. I mean, there's times when I'm seeing us thinking, no, just keep the ball down, just hold it. And we're literally hooving it out. And I'm thinking what we're doing is just going to keep going back. Like, retain the ball a little bit, pass and move, and frustrating at the end, definitely. Game management has to be discussed as well. Coutinho didn't manage a goal or assist in any of his 7 Prem appearances against United whilst playing for Liverpool. 480 minutes, but netted Villa's equaliser just 14 minutes into his side stay. You just knew it was going to happen. It was just written in the stars, like Doug said earlier, written in the stars. I thought United were lucky in the cup. We were, and I guess you kind of say it's karma. We were lucky in the cup, definitely. Villa obviously would have felt annoyed. We said that they'd be looking for revenge today. I know that it's only a draw, but for us, it feels like a loss. 100%. Mattis is by far the most important player, and his legs went. So did the win. Yeah, his legs did go towards the end. Like I say, Ramsey just bypassing him in that midfield. A change should have been made, in my opinion. Obviously, been booked as well, so that was the other thing. That's when he said he's not going to be flying into tackles because he's going to be wary of that. Oliver Villa said the annoying thing is Samson, who went off for Coutinho, made the mistake for his second goal, despite playing brilliantly. Yeah, I've never really watched him play, and today, to be fair, I thought he did play well. Kicking the ball, water bottles as he went off as well. He obviously wasn't happy with the mistake that he'd made. But yeah, obviously we've already said the subs, but overall, let's talk about the positives because, like we say, the first half for me, we did play really, really well, and a lot of us have forgotten about that because of what happened in the second. But Bruno, I thought was outstanding tonight. I know he gave the ball away a few times, but he's got 2 goals. One was a mistake, but I thought Bruno was instrumental tonight. And I also thought Elanga was a bright spark for us. I've seen tweets saying he shouldn't start for us again, and I'm a bit confused by that because for me, he had that fear factor every time he got the ball, was positive. He was trying to drive that. And it's something that we haven't seen from our wide players for a while. Rashford in particular likes to come feet all the time. It was refreshing to see Elanga spinning off in behind as well and stretching the Aston Villa defence. So for me, in particular, Bruno and Elanga were the 2 standouts. But what about you, mate? Who stood out for you?
Elanga was definitely one who did stand out for me, knowing that it was his first start for Manchester United this season, because the first start for him was for Wolves back in May under Ole. So knowing that he's come on, we all knew that Ralph was a fan of Elanga, and he's really shown his worth at Manchester United. He's shown that he is a player who we can play in this wide position. I think he was a big, massive threat for Aston Villa, and I think Matty Cash did have a big, massive job on his hands keeping him quiet, and him and Greenwood had the most shots on goal in this game. So it just showed the big, massive threat, the way that Elanga was managed to expose Matty Cash to try and get in, to try and shoot. Another person who I was actually impressed with was De Gea. Some of his saves he made was absolutely outstanding, and I do question if he didn't start, could it have been 3-4, 5-0, 5-2, because he saved quite a few goals.
Yeah.
Another person who I was impressed with, I know we conceded 2, but I was actually impressed with Lindelof. I actually think Lindelof, compared to all these other games, he was so much calmer on the ball. He was able to manage his one-on-ones a lot better. And I do question, is that because he's alongside Varane, who was a much quicker centre-back, so he just felt a little bit more calmer, he felt a little bit more secure. But I feel like Lindelof had a real good game despite the 2 goals conceded.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people saying De Gea as well, obviously made a few good saves, which he did. George said that his distribution can be poor. It can be. There's quite a lot of times where you see him just boot the ball out of play, and I'm questioning that, definitely. Even James heard the news about the board meeting. Are you expecting news? So apparently Rafa could be sacked tonight. The rumours are Rafa could be sacked. I wouldn't be surprised by that, to be honest with you.
No,
fact is, no. Under any other manager, Villa wouldn't be a challenge for United, but with Slippy G in charge, that's perfect for them. He knows the way that we play, and it shows on the pitch. I'm sure he's slightly more up for it when United are around, definitely. Yeah, a lot of people saying about Rafa should be gone. Even to Soph and Mais, what a nightmare that was. Even to you, Zoe, yeah, nightmare. It went from like a dream in the first half to an absolute nightmare in the second half, didn't it? That's literally how it flipped. They can make the blocks, we just simply didn't. Varane was having a good game, then it went absolutely pear-shaped the last 25 minutes. We looked all over the place at the end, all over the place, gaps coming all over. A lot we've already mentioned. For me, I would have been bringing Donny on for Matic around the hour mark, 70 minutes mark. Give him time to implement as well. Like 3 minutes, what's he going to do in that maze? Like, what does he expect him to do in that time?
You can't expect any player to do anything in 3 minutes. Lingard came on for 3 minutes as well, and you look at it and you think it's so silly just to bring a player in for 3 minutes. I felt like we was really pushing it with bringing Sancho on. The minute we did bring Sancho on, I felt like it was a big push. But if you are going to make a sub so late on, like Sancho did, put 2 subs on just to try and help with the game. But I felt like Matic should have definitely came off. When you look at a lot of the games, Matic, he doesn't really suit, can't handle 90 minutes anymore, which is a shame, because I do look at it and think, I wish I had Matic 5 years ago in his prime. Our CDM issues would have been well and truly resolved, but Donny 100% should have came on, and then Fred as that CDM, a CDM option, because we know he has played in a double pivot as a CDM alongside Scott McTominay. Yeah,
exactly. I totally agree with that. A lot of just reading some of the comments. Everyone seems disheartened, saying we've thrown away the points. It just feels like a loss for us tonight. Feels like a loss, and I'm sure Ralph must be scratching his head as well. But yeah, he has to take some responsibility for that. The lack of changes. We need to buy 5 players at least in the summer, says George. We need to sign a midfielder. I think in now, like literally now, we need to be looking at midfielder. But it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. If it does, I'll be well happy with that. But yeah, Donny would have been a change. 100% that I would have made for this game. Bring him on, like I say, around the 70-minute mark, because then we could keep retaining the ball a little bit. We would, like I say, lumping it up. Didn't have a focal point really. Cavani was dropping deep as well. We had no outlet. With Elanga going off, we lacked that pace as well. So I felt like bringing Donny on, we would have maybe kept the ball a little bit better. And as someone mentioned earlier, it looked like Matic's legs had gone towards the end of the game as well. Who would you have given man of the match to then? Someone said Greenwood earlier. I do want to add, I thought Greenwood had a decent game as well. My man of the match, you've got to go Bruno. For me, you've got to go Bruno. 2 goals, 2 major influences in the game. Yeah, Bruno would be mine. Who would be yours, Mace?
I'd have to probably agree with you there. Bruno is definitely the man of the match for me. He was the one who helped with them 2 goals. Absolutely brilliant. And Elanga was definitely a close second for me as well. I think he's really shown that he is a Manchester United player, because when you using a youth player is always a big, massive risk. And it does show, is this person suited to Manchester United, or do they need to go elsewhere to try and actually pick up some game time? But Elanga, for me, he is like a Greenwood, he's like a Rashford, who has shown, coming onto this pitch, I'm a Manchester United player, don't send me on loan, and I am ready here, I'm raring here, and that's exactly what he's shown today. He has shown that he is a Manchester United player, and that's how he should be, instead of going on loan.
Yeah, I want to say a massive thank you to Nippon for the super chat. Question for both of you: would you take Mönchengladbach's Florian Neuhaus in the summer? I'll be honest, I haven't watched a lot. So I can't comment too much. I don't know about you, Mais.
I haven't really commented I can't comment too much on it neither. I haven't watched too much of that team's football, so I don't want to say yes or a no just because I don't know too much about the player.
If he's a midfielder, I'll take him. That's all I'm saying. That's how I feel right now.
He probably is a midfielder. I think he probably is.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest, I don't watch much Bundesliga, especially since Sancho's come back to England. Like, genuinely, I don't watch a lot of it. I try and catch it every now and again. So I can't sit here and say, I'm an expert on him. But Nippon, let me know if you think he'd be suited to us. And once again, thank you so much for that super chat. I do appreciate it. Andrew said Kessie is a very good player. You mentioned earlier you'd bring Kessie in. Varane should have dealt with the Coutinho goal, but Lindelof and Delot were in no man's land. Yeah, Delot was spinning around, wasn't he? Matic should have tracked the run of Ramsey much better as well. But like someone said earlier, I feel like his legs are going to be at that point as well. There's multiple errors leading up to it, but let's face it, they were knocking at the door. There was gaps all over the place. We just didn't control the game, particularly in that second half. It just wasn't good enough for us. Never thought I'd say it, but we missed McTominay. I do think we missed McTominay's driving runs, leading after the transition from defence to attack. I think McTominay does that really, really well. My man of the match based on scoring base has to be Bruno. I agree with you both. First was Jamie, as Martin spilled it. He did spill it, but you still have to have a pop. And I like the little flick from Telles for the free kick rather than whipping it straight in as well. Big up Static as well, says Soph and Mais, good show, ladies. I just wish we were smiling. I wish we were smiling and celebrating it. What seemed in the first half was going to be a comfortable win. All United's business has to be in the CDM and creative midfield areas, if not nothing aside for years to come now. We've needed a CDM for ages. How long have we been saying we need that CDM? Your midfield does need real upgrading because you were once, again, completely overrun. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, it's 2 points dropped. It's so frustrating, 2 points dropped. And this, I mean, Mays, obviously, we should be aiming for top 4. Ronaldo says top 3, obviously, in his interview the other day. But does this make you worry now that we're slipping further and further away? These are the games, especially when you're 2-0 up, these are the games we should be winning.
I agree. I even said after that Wolves win, we will be extremely lucky to get into top 4 by the way we're playing. And this game has truly proved to me that we will be extremely looking to get to this top 4. And the only way now, if we actually get results, is if we have to rely on teams to actually drop points like Chelsea and West Ham and Tottenham and Arsenal, and that shouldn't be the case. With the squad we have got, we should be competing for the title, not competing for top 4. And I look at it and you just think it's just another performance which I am just truly, truly disappointed with. And another thing, this game has shown to me we need a replacement. We need a right back. We really need a right back as well as a midfielder, because we have seen Dalot can have his good games, but he's not suited to every game. And you look at Wan-Bissaka, you can't even use him for every single game because his forward play is nowhere near as his defensive play. And we need another right back who is like a modern day right back who can do both.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we said so many times, Wan-Bissaka going forwards, it looks like he's on stilts. Defensively, 1v1 defending, not many better than him. But to be a modern fullback, to play for Manchester United, you need to be able to do both. And unfortunately, he can't. And I think we've seen that time and time again. We would link Trippier, and people laugh when I said, actually, I'd take him. I know he's at Newcastle now, but I would have taken him because at least we know that he can whip a ball into the box. And Delot can do that, but for me, Delot isn't the finished article at the minute. I think, like you say, he shows signs where you think he looks really promising, but then there's games where he just gets completely bullied or is spinning around like he was for that second goal today. I think he gets caught out a lot. He goes wandering a lot. And I think we've seen that from a lot of our back four, to be fair. We just go wandering, and midfielders included as well. And that's when we get all these gaps all over the pitch. And again, like someone said earlier, they've run through our midfield and we've been caught out yet again. For me, United will be lucky to get top 4. Really lucky. We need other teams around us to drop points. Let's be honest. Someone said earlier that I think it was George said he feels Arsenal are getting to top 4 now. We are truly becoming Banter FC if it is the case that Arsenal go into top 4 ahead of us, like you say, Maj, with the squad that we have got as well. Karuna Coynan, thank you for the super chat, and I'm really sorry to be reading this. He said, would like to send my condolences to the family of 23-year-old teacher Aidling Murphy, who was tragically killed in Ireland in midweek. No more violence. So I'll stand by that. No more violence, and that's really sad. So condolences, obviously, to a family. And that's really horrible news. So I'm really sorry to hear that. But thank you, obviously, for raising awareness of that, because I genuinely hadn't heard. So hashtag no more violence. I fully agree with that, and rest in peace. And obviously, best wishes to the family as well. So that's really sad news.
I wish my condolences too on that as well. So horrible to read.
Yeah, it's sad, very sad. And that De Gea save from Wendy was brilliant. He makes one of them every game, even against crap opponents like Norwich. No offense to Norwich. De Gea, player of the season for me. Player of the season. He's constantly keeping us in games, and he must be as frustrated as all of us tonight, seeing that 2-0 up and then it drop into being a 2-2 draw. It just feels like a loss. It's like an absolute kick in the teeth, isn't it? Especially after the first half performance, which I thought was probably the best I've seen us play for a long while. We're moving the ball quicker. We always look, you mentioned earlier, Lindelof looked calm on the ball, but I thought across the board we looked calm on the ball. Tellers and Delo were getting up high. I thought we looked really sharp in that first half, and then second half, obviously, whatever Gerrard said to him at half time, it worked, and they came out full throttle. And quite frankly, we couldn't handle it. We couldn't handle that. Manchester United need to wake up and smell the coffee, 100%. 100%. As it said there, the team selection on the next game. I think it's safe to say Donny won't be starting, unfortunately. So frustrating. Obviously, there's been other games today as well. I just wanted to touch on Newcastle. I've just mentioned they obviously signed Chris Wood. Trippier started for them today as well. They've got a draw against Watford. They must be worried now, Mace, as well, that they're going to be going down.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at it and you think they've invested already. I actually thought Newcastle was actually very smart in getting Chris Wood. I know a lot of people laughed at the Chris Wood signing, but what I actually thought was, because I initially said what Newcastle should do if they want to stay into the Premier League, they need to look at teams bottom half of the table, steal their best players. You look at the top half of the table, get loanees. And that's exactly what they've done with Burnley. They've took their best player from a release clause of 20 million plus 5 million add-on. And Burnley, I don't think they've got any chance now without Chris Wood and their link to Andy Carroll. But when you look at games like this, they still should be winning these games. They've got an amazing right-back now, a right-back who is leader material. He's got international experience and he's got winning mentality, winning La Liga. So you look at things like that, and then you've got Chris Wood. He's been in the Premier League for such a long time. He's scored 10 plus goals near enough every single Premier League season. And you look at things like that and you think, why aren't you still managing a win? I know you need a whole rebuild, but you still should be able to win it. You still should be able to win against Watford. I understand if it was a team like Manchester City, but not Watford. You still should be able to get them 3 points.
Definitely. I agree with you. Wood taking Wood off Burnley obviously weakens them.
Yeah.
But all I'm going to say is, if Steve Bruce was still in charge and he signs Chris Wood, there'd be absolute uproar from Newcastle fans.
Yeah.
But because it's Eddie Howe's come in, fresh face, and he signed him, like, everyone seems to be bigging up. Do you know what I mean? It seems like one of them deals that if Brucey did it, there would have been a lot of stick. A lot of people would have been getting on his back. Like James said, guys, please keep hitting that like. I'd really appreciate it. But thank you so much. And obviously, if you're new, hit the sub button as well. Let's try and get us to 15.4k. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Apparently, Newcastle should have been out to start first half, but Watford really played well in the second half. Sounds a bit like us, to be fair. Sounds a bit like us, doing it. Both United's doing the same thing today. But yeah, mate, I'm frustrated. Where do you see us going from here? Obviously, you expect Ronaldo hopefully to be back soon. McTominay, sure, will be back. Do you expect them all to walk straight back in?
Maybe not sure, because I actually think Tellez played pretty decent today. So I actually think McTominay will be coming back in the squad. Matic will be out. And I genuinely believe that Ronaldo will be back in that team as well. It'd be good to try and see what a 4-4-2 would be like. So we can still have Elanga there if he plays on the wings, Sancho on the right, and then we could still play Ronaldo and Cavani up front. And we've used that 4-4-2 in the Fergie days. I know I'm talking like history here, but we've got two brilliant strikers who I believe should be playing together. None of them deserve to be dropped. None of them deserve to be on the bench. And I think we need to try ways of trying to accommodate them both. And I think a 4-4-2 could be a good option going forward. In terms of Europe, I look at it now and I think, is the FA Cup going to be our most certain way of getting into Europe at this point? And that is one of the things what's really worrying me.
Or winning the Champions League, which would be nice, wouldn't it? I think we'd all accept these performances in the league if we go and win the Champions League right now. We've got Mr. Champions League, so weirder things have happened. That's all I'm going to say, but obviously it's looking very unlikely. And George makes a good point. He said, the only way we might get top 4 is Rangnick can get Pogba back and playing well. Look, I do think we miss Pogba. I think we miss that creativity in the midfield. I think on Pogba's day, we know how good he can be. Him not signing that contract makes me doubt that, though. Does he really want to come back in and start playing? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what's his mindset like? I think is what I'm saying in terms of Pogba. But in terms of his ability and that style of player on the pitch, that creative element, we definitely miss Paul Pogba in that midfield. Question from me and you: what do United do to challenge for titles and compete with other big clubs? See games out, I think, is one. 2-0 up today, and you haven't seen that game out. The mentality, keeping hold of the ball. I don't think we keep the ball good enough. Even when we're on top in games, we don't have prolonged possession, do we? We don't maintain it. You look at the types of City, for example, they're relentless. When they've got the ball, they're relentless, and it's like wave after wave. With us, it doesn't feel like that. I don't think we keep a team pinned in our own half enough as we should do. I think we're too easy to play through as well. I think there's many things that we need to do in order to compete. We're not there yet. Definitely not there yet. I think the FA Cup is a better opportunity, Maisie, to get into Europe, because at the end of the day, it's all about your luck in the draw and hopefully United have a good run. Of course, it is about the run, as it is with the Champions League as well. Middlesbrough in the next round of the FA Cup, we should be getting through that. But we can't be complacent. The way that we've played this season, we cannot be complacent 100%. Greenwood can't play with his back to goal, therefore I think he needs a lot of work and time before he's a striker. But the thing is, I think he's been forced out wide quite a lot as well. I think it's harsh to judge that. Do you know what I mean? Give him a run of games through the middle. I don't think we've seen that. Obviously, he's been forced out wide a lot. I do think his long-term position probably is that number 9, or like you said, in a 4-4-2. But I think Greenwood played well tonight. I really do. I think when he gets the ball, he's always ambitious. He's always trying to do something positive.
Yeah, he did play really well, and you do look at in this kind of situation. As a footballer, if you was playing in a position what you're not comfortable in, the position that you're not the best in, are you going to put that 100% effort in compared to a player who's in their best ever favourite position? You're not going to do that.
Yeah, no, you're right. Kelly said they were one bad game. Thanks, Jamie. We're one bad game away from a hammering. I think I agree with that, because, like we've already mentioned, De Gea's made a few good saves. You looked at the Liverpool game. Obviously, we got absolutely battered in that game, and you are right. But I think at the minute we're at this point where we're just hoping that we can turn a corner. And I felt like first half today, we did turn a corner. I felt like we looked positive, we looked confident, we were calm on the ball, we looked assertive, we were aggressive when we were pressing. And then second half, like I say, we just bottled it. And we need to see a consistent 90 minutes from this team, because we haven't seen, I can't remember last time I could say wholeheartedly we've had a 90 minutes where I felt confident. And like I say, the second they got back into it, that goal, you knew that we weren't seeing it through. And that just shows the faith that we've got in this 11 at the minute, or this squad at the minute, that we just can't see games through. But how do we solve that, mate? I think that's where we go from, and that's what Ralph has to try and answer. How do we solve it? And I do think substitutions needed to be made. Like we say, Donny coming in to bring that element of control, but players have to do more as well. We have to be calm on the ball, panic, not oofing it out, and it's just going to keep coming back. Like we should be the teams doing that to Aston Villa. We should be peppering them. They should be panicking, booting it out, and it should be wave after wave. You watch Man City, you watch Chelsea, you watch Liverpool. That's what they're doing. We just don't seem to have the quality to keep the ball in their half for long enough. I know it sounds stupid, but I just don't see that.
No, I can't see it either. And it all just comes down to the midfield, because we're exposed so much. That is where we lose the ball the most. And you look at it as well, the forward play, because the midfield is so open and so exposed, it's allowing the forward players to track back, to try and chase the ball, and then they're losing the ball in our half because they're tracking back so much, and there's no one there forward to try and feed the ball to, so we can go on the counter attack. So it all flows down to that midfield position what we're currently in. And to be honest, I just look at it and I think there is seriously some issues what do need to be resolved. And you look at it and you think you can have as many training sessions as you want. You can have the best manager, the best coaching staff in the world, but it's about how these players also perform on the pitch. They can do one bit behind the scenes, but it's also about what the players do on the pitch. And if they're not performing on the pitch, there's not much more we can truly do apart from making substitutes. But then we've only got 3 substitutes out of when all 11 players are awful.
Yeah, and it's those gaps in the midfield that frustrates me. Like, we look so easy to play through, just so easy to play through. And I felt in that first half we looked really disciplined. Our shape was good. Villa were getting frustrated with us, and like on the counter attack, I thought we looked like a big threat. But then in the second half, when they threw more bodies forward, they were a bit hungrier. They were up for it a bit more. The crowd obviously got behind them. We were just like, at the time, it was like headless chicken. It's just being dragged out left, right, and centre, and the gap through the middle. It's just worrying, and that's something that Ralph really needs to work on. That discipline, being able to sit and see, because at the end of the day, it's Premier League. We know what it's like. That the other team are always going to have a spell in the game. They're always going to have a spell, and it's about riding that storm, isn't it? And I felt a bit first half we were doing that, we were fine, but then second half they came out fighting, and we just didn't match it. We didn't match it at all, and that's what for me comes down to the mindset a little bit as well. George said we need 11 threads on the pitch in terms of work rate, not in terms of passing. Of course, that would give me a real Fred-ache, to be fair, but. I know what you're saying there. I know you want people to get about, and I do feel like Matic, I don't think it's a lack of desire from him. I just don't think he's got the legs to do that no more. But it goes to that squad depth, doesn't it? When McTominay's out, then who steps in? And that's what we thought Donny would be doing today. But yeah, unfortunately not.
Another thing for me, what I do question, do these players have trust issues with their teammates? Because it seems like when you look at a lot of the players, it just seems like they don't trust your teammate to pass the ball. You don't trust your teammate to pass the ball to shoot, just to pass it in general. You'd rather run into a rival, like an opposition player, rather than trust your teammate who is not marked at all. And I really think there's something to do with trust issues with the squad too.
Yeah, and it's like pass quality into each other. You know, you always say like trust the person you're passing it to, but some of our passes are like suicide passes. They're just half-hearted. Like they're just under-hitting, and you're playing like teammates into trouble and whatnot as well. Like, I agree with that. It's almost like it's your problem now, not mine. Do you know what I mean? And that's the impression I get from some of the passes that you see as well. Just pass appreciation. We just But I agree with the comment that was made about midfielders that they're simply not good enough. The midfielders that we play aren't good enough, and I totally agree with that. We've been saying it for a long time now. We need to get some midfielders in, and we just haven't done that. We've been relying, but I do also agree with Conor Real. Not in terms of Varane. I thought Varane looked fairly decent. Obviously, he's been injured and whatnot. I still believe he'll settle, but more needs to be done. It's not just a case of you get CDM and it's a quick fix. There's still obviously issues within this squad. Of course there is. But I do feel like that's the area that we should be investing in. And if Boyu goes as well, maybe even another centre-back. What's your thoughts on the Boyu links to AC Milan, Mais? Because I haven't spoken to you about this.
You look at this situation, and we've all heard rumours in the past, Eric Bailly's not happy with the game time, he wants to leave. You've been hearing it for over a year now, and if he really wants to leave to AC Milan, just let him leave. Because you look at Eric Bailly's appearances, he's had less appearances than Harry Maguire, and Harry Maguire joined the club 2-3 years later than Eric Bailly. It shows how injury prone he is. And you don't want a player who's so injury prone, who you start for 3 games and he picks up a knock, or he picks up a couple of weeks injury. You can't allow that kind of player in the team. And you can see why Ole, you can see why Mourinho, you can see why Ragnick isn't giving him that chance, because he's just going to pick a knock so easily. As much as I love everybody, he is a top centre-back, and I would absolutely love to see him alongside Varane. I just genuinely believe that just due to his injury record, we can't keep him at Manchester United. And if he wants to leave, let him leave.
Yeah, if he wants to go. And I won't hold him back. I think, unfortunately, whether it's the intensity of the Premier League and obviously matched with his own health issues, he's not really been fit for long enough. And when he has played, we all know how good he can be, Eric Bailly. And every United fan, I've never heard a United fan really talk badly about him. When he's fit and when he's up for it, Eric Bailly can be outstanding. But unfortunately, to have a centre-back partnership that works successfully, to be a title-winning centre-back partnership, which is what we should be aiming for, you need that consistency. You need players you can call on week in, week out. And I've still had doubts about Varane in terms of that. Obviously, he's had his injuries already at United. I'm hoping that he can go on a consistent run of games now. But the injuries is always the biggest worry, isn't it? Especially with a player like Eric Bailly. The way that he plays as well, he doesn't help himself. You know what he's like. He flies into challenges and whatnot. And unfortunately, he's injured far too much. And like I say, I would not hold him back. But I do think if he goes, even if he doesn't go, to be fair, I feel like a centre-back is an area that we should be looking at. I think Harry Maguire, we're all saying that he's not good enough. Don't get me wrong, Harry Maguire could turn a corner, and I full and hope he does. But on evidence that we've seen this season, simply not good enough. So, yeah, centre-back and a CDM should always be our priority right now, in my opinion, anyway. But we'll see what happens. It's frustrating. We both feel like it's been a loss today. Just absolutely gutted with that second half performance in particular. But we move. It could have been worse, I suppose. It could have been worse. But, yeah, we move on to the next one, as I say. We're going to win the FA Cup and the Champions League anyway, mate. So this doesn't really matter, does it? So we're going to go and win them two anyway. Let's be optimistic.
I'll give the optimism. I really love the optimism from you. I just want to touch one thing on the centre back what it made. What I feel like with a title winning team, you noticed it with the Liverpool's title winning team. You noticed it with Manchester City last season. You noticed it with real good teams. I even noticed it with Chelsea when they won the Champions League. You need a triangle. Say we got a triangle. This triangle, the top is the goalkeeper, the other two is the centre backs, and you need that strong connection, like a Van der Sar, a Vidic, and a Rio all over again.
Yeah, I agree. That's stability in there, and that's what I mean. That consistency, players that you're going to call on week in, week out, and know they're always going to be there. And unfortunately, we haven't had that. Obviously, I know I'm being optimistic, and and I'm not saying I fully believe that's going to happen, but I'm just trying to make people smile, to be fair. Varane looking a bit injury prone, so Boy can back him up. I'm just hoping both players can stay fit in terms of our centre back, whoever it may be. I'm just hoping they can stay fit and they can be consistent in playing. I think Varane getting injured and stuff as well hasn't helped us at the back, as it probably hasn't helped Maguire as well. But yeah, we shall see what happens. But Maze, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Obviously, guys, I'll try and do as many cool dens as I can after a game. I know I used to do it regularly and I kind of slipped off, so I'm trying to bring these back. So I do enjoy doing it. It's fresh, it's in our minds, and we can discuss the game. Obviously, it's much better when you win. Much better than when you win. But as always, Maze, it's an absolute pleasure to talk to you. So if you wouldn't mind just letting people know where they can find you on social media and shout out your channel as well.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a great discussion about the game, so thank you so much for having me on again. You can find me on my YouTube channel, which is Devils United. I cover all Manchester United content, both the men and the women's football. And also you can find me on my Twitter, which is @2_MUSC Maze.
Lovely. Make sure you go and follow that. I'm definitely going to check out that vlog as well. If you're interested in the women, like I say, women's game at the moment is better to watch than the men's game when it comes to United. Want to see some goals, some positivity, definitely go and check that out. So I definitely will be. But yeah, thank you for coming on, Maze. Obviously, if you haven't already, follow myself on social media. Soph Richo on Twitter. Soph Richo with a kiss on the end of it on Instagram. Obviously, Ladies in Red on YouTube. If you haven't already, hit the sub on that as well. I'll be back next week with more streams. I'll be joining Maze again, hopefully, next Thursday. But obviously, I'll keep you guys posted. And of course, we'll be talking all things United, all things football, with a smile on our face and with a bit of positivity, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? But guys, have a lovely rest of your weekend. Look after yourselves. Take care. And we will see you all very soon.